and start off by saying happy late Mother's Day to all you guys out there. Hope you really enjoyed your weekend and got lots of good goodies. But I have a confession to make. My laundry is piled about a mile, maybe 5 miles high, because I have completely ran out of my laundry detergent, my fabric softener, my scent beads, you name it. It is gone, and I probably should have done this a lot sooner, but I wanted to take you guys along with me. So today we're going to go ahead and get all of that restocked so we can tackle this laundry. But I wanted to take you guys along, like I said, on the process in case you guys are interested in switching over to some all-natural laundry products and kind of explain to you why I did it, some of the health benefits that I have found from switching over from store-bought. So let me go ahead and show you the state of my laundry room real quick. All right, guys, so it is completely piled. I'm gonna say maybe 3 or 4 loads. I'm not for sure. So let's go ahead and jump back in and getting everything mixed up so that we can tackle this laundry. Okay, let me just move this bucket out of the way real quick. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about is I struggle with psoriasis. Now, this is not something that I have struggled with my entire life. It really came about in my 20s, right after I had my daughter in 2015. Now, when I seen and talked to a lot of doctors, they said if you never really struggled with psoriasis, that's really odd. But sometimes traumatic or stressful situations can onset psoriasis. And I said, well, it's funny that you say that because this popped up right after I had my daughter, and needless to say, my situation with my daughter when I had her was definitely a stressful situation. My epidural failed. That's a whole nother story. So I said, well, that could be it. But back to the psoriasis. So I have it on both of my knees, right under my knee caps. And the right side of my leg completely cleared up almost instantly, but I always struggled with the left side. Now, after talking to a lot of doctors, skin doctors, you name it, they have all suggested pretty much the same thing. You know, you need to cut out all the scented things, change your diet, moisturize. There was getting my knee out into the sunlight, UV light, and of course medication. Now, I have done almost all of these things except for the medication. I chose not to go down that route because I'm just not a big fan of prescription, medication, pills, and all of that stuff. So that possibly could have worked, but we will never know at this point. I will say that on the left side of my knee, my psoriasis has cleared up about 98%, which you guys have no idea how much joy that brings me after literally struggling with it for so long now. And the only other thing that I have changed is my laundry detergent routine. Now, I mixed up our first batch of homemade laundry detergent in probably the middle of December of 2022, and I just ran out, so that goes to show how long it lasts, for one, and for two, the period here of using this product. And like I said, that is the only thing that I have changed, and my knee has cleared up. Now, what is strange to me is I have tried switching to all the clear and free laundry detergents from the store for my knee, but it never worked. It never made a difference. And I went down a rabbit hole of investigating and Googling all of the things that I use for all of my laundry products to see if possibly that was the solution to clearing my psoriasis. And through all of my investigating, a lot of the things that I use go hand in hand with psoriasis, skin conditions like eczema and hives and things. So I'm kind of on the fence of thinking, did I crack the code? Am I a doctor now? Just kidding, I'm not a doctor. So please remember everything that I am saying to you guys. You know, don't hold me to it. What worked for me might not work for you. This is just all jokes. So I want to go ahead and share with you guys some of the things that I use and some of the health benefits that I have found in case you are struggling with psoriasis or some kind of skin condition. Maybe you could try this and it could help clear your skin up too. But like I said, I am no doctor, so please don't hold me to it if it doesn't work. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I don't want to go on and ramble because I don't want to bore you guys, but we're going to talk about it, get everything mixed up so we can get this laundry tackled. Okay, so I have my little cheat sheet here, and I've wrote everything down because there is no way I would have remembered all of this. But psoriasis is an inflammatory issue. It attacks the body from within, attacking the immune system of the host. And the first thing that I stumbled across that I think has really helped with my psoriasis is Epson Salt. Now, I just use the plain Epson Salt. I do not use one that has any essential oils added to it. But what I have read about Epsom salt is that it helps relieve inflammation, also helps with sore muscles, cuts and sores and things like that. So I credit my psoriasis clearing up to Epsom salt for starters. The second thing is tea tree oil. Now, this is the Walmart brand, but on the side it does say 100% pure essential oil. And tea tree oil helps with acne, foot odor, lice, helps kill bacteria and viruses, and it also helps psoriasis. Now, this stuff does not smell good. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I do not scent my laundry products in tea tree oil alone, but I do add drops of this throughout everything that I do use. So I do credit the tea tree oil in helping. And the last thing is the orange essential oils. Now, this one says that it helps kill bacteria, but it also helps boost the immune system, and it is an anti-inflammatory. So these three things together, I have really credited in finding the holy grail of what I think has really worked on helping clear my psoriasis, because I use it over the broad spectrum of my laundry detergent, my fabric softener, the scent beads, and I have completely cut out dryer sheets. I just use the wool balls now. So I'm really thinking, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but in my head, I'm like, I have cracked the code. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is mixing up our fabric softener, because unfortunately laundry is the gift that just keeps on giving, even though it is not the gift that any of us asked for. So I'm going to show you what you're going to need for your fabric softener, and I am going to put all of these recipes in the description box below, because I know it can get a little confusing when we're doing so much at one time. Now, when I started with the fabric softener, the first go around, the recipe that I was using called for vinegar and just baking soda, and I did not like that one at all. So this is a new recipe for me as well. So I am keeping my fingers crossed that this one is a little bit better. The only thing that I am worried about when it does come to the psoriasis is that this recipe calls for using conditioner, and you know, obviously buying the store-bought conditioner, it is going to come with a lot of fragrances that aren't natural to it. So this may be a bad idea on my part, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. It says to use 1 bottle of conditioner, a 22.5 fluid ounce one. And I'm going to use the Sun Ripened Strawberry because I thought that that would go pretty well with the orange. So I'm just going to take a second and get this completely squeezed out into my bowl. Okay, so the next thing that it calls for is 4 cups of white vinegar. So I'm going to go ahead and get that measured out and get that dumped in as well. And the last thing that we need to add to this is 8 cups of really hot water. Okay, so here's 4 cups. And here's 4 more cups, so that makes 8 cups all together. So I'm just going to take a whisk and get this all mixed together. So I'll start off by saying my first impressions, it's probably a little bit, maybe a little bit more runnier than traditional store-bought fabric softener, but I kind of like that it's not as thick. And even though we did add 4 cups of vinegar to it, I feel like the vinegar is not super overpowering, but it's really not a big issue anyway because the vinegar smell doesn't linger anyway when you do wash your clothes and rinse them and dry them, so I'm not worried about that. But it does smell pretty good. Probably the whole bottle of conditioner has something to do with that. So to this mixture too, I'm going to go ahead and add in some drops of our tea tree oil. So I did 20 drops of the tea tree oil into this. And I'm probably going to do 20 drops of the orange as well. Like I said, the tea tree oil does have a very overpowering smell. So I can definitely smell it. So hopefully that doesn't linger too terribly much. Okay, so I did 25 of the orange. I'm going to get that mixed in. So I just store my fabric softener in this glass jar that I picked up from a thrift store. I actually think that it's an olive oil jar. But they do say that when you're using any kind of essential oils that you want to store them in glass containers because the plastic doesn't react well with the essential oils. I'm not for sure how true that is, but this made a bunch. So I know it's not going to all fit in here, so I'm probably going to have to store some of my extra in a plastic container because I don't think I have enough glass mason jars, but I guess we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to use the scoop method here in a funnel and get this in here and see what will fit. Now that it's kind of had time to set a little bit, the tea tree oil isn't as noticeable to me. I don't smell it as much, but as it is, I think it has a pleasant smell. This made a ton. And anytime that I do use fabric softener, I only use 1/4 of a cup. So I think this is going to last a really long time. Okay, so I've got that one filled up. Now I've got to figure out where I'm going to put the rest of this because it made a whole bowl full. It was almost to the top. So I I don't know if you can see it. It has kind of a light pink orange color to it, but for the most part, it is pretty white in appearance. Okay. I feel like some kind of mad scientist mixing up all these crazy concoctions. I probably should have invested in another big bucket like I do for the laundry detergent. I'm going to have to keep that in mind next time that I mix this up. So the fabric softener got me all 4 of these containers filled up. So I think that's really good. That'll last me for a hot second, and I really do need to invest in some kind of bigger glass jar. Maybe I need to buy a really big pickle jar so all of this could fit inside of one glass jar. Like I said, I know that they say plastic isn't the best, but hopefully it will be okay. So let's go ahead and move over to the scent beads. Okay, so moving on to the scent beads, you're just going to need the Epson Salt, baking soda, and some essential oils. Now, scent beads obviously are not a necessity to laundry, but it is a fun way to remind yourself of some of the little luxuries of the store-bought stuff. Plus, it is a good way to get the Epsom salt into your clothing and your bed sheets, all the stuff that's going to be touching your skin. And the baking soda also acts as a good deodorizer for all the stinky clothes. So let's go ahead and get it mixed up. The first thing that we need to do is pour our Epsom salts. And for this one, we need 4.5 cups of Epsom salt. So I'm using the same bowl and stuff, but I did wash it and dry it out really good because you don't want this mixture to get too wet. You know, you want it to stay really dry for the most part. So I did wash it and, like I said, dry it out. So I'm going to start with 4.5 cups. Because mine was so clumpy, I'm going to take a second with my whisk and kind of break up some of those big clumps before I add the baking soda. Okay, so for our baking soda, we need 1.5 cups. And then the last thing is we're going to add the essential oils. Now, I don't think I'm going to put as much tea tree oil in this one since it is supposed to be our scent beads. I don't want my scent smelling like tea tree oil. But I do want to get as much of that tea tree oil throughout all of my laundry products as I can, because the more the better, I feel. So I'm going to do, let's see, maybe 5. Okay, and then I'm going to do probably a good amount of the orange, maybe 20, and then see what it smells like. Okay, so to kind of give you a reference on our scent beads, it's not really a bead like you're used to seeing in the store-bought. It's more of just like a really fine sugar mixture, the forbidden sugar, but that's okay. It works the same. It works really well, and this, like I said, is a great way to get a lot of that Epsom salt into your laundry. So I'm going to go ahead and get this moved over to my glass container. Okay, moving in with my glass container. Once again, this is just one that I picked up from a thrift store. Has a little lid on it, and I kept the really small, I guess this is the container lid to the scent beads, the ones that you get from the store. But I just scooped this and I only put this much into my laundry load. But maybe if it's more of like a bigger load, I might do 2 scoops. But I would probably say this is the equivalent to probably 2 tablespoons, maybe 2.5. however you want to work it. And this makes quite a bit as well. But this one smells really good. I don't smell hardly any of the tea tree oil. Okay, so the next thing that's kind of a new thing to me as well is, like I said, I switched over to the wool balls because obviously dryer sheets are full with lots of synthetic chemicals and fragrances and things, and these are obviously fragrance free. They're reusable, and they also help cut your drying time almost in half, so that's really good too. But one of the things that you may miss from your dryer sheets is obviously the smell goods that come along with it. So what we're going to mix up is some spray that you can spray onto your dryer balls before you put them into the dryer. And it kind of just helps add another element of getting that fragrance into your clothes, because that is one thing that you tend to miss when doing homemade laundry products is the smells that come with the store-bought stuff. And the good thing about the dryer spray is it also helps to add in more of that Epson salt and more of those essential oils. So let's go ahead and get that mixed up. Now I will say before we continue, I have a little bottle here that I got in the travel section. This is a 2 fluid ounce bottle, and it is plastic. And once again, like I said, when you're storing essential oils, you want a glass container, and obviously this is not glass, so that is something to keep in mind. You may want to invest in a glass spray bottle. It is on my list to do, but in a pinch, and for now, the plastic one will work just as well, I think. So the first thing that we need to do is we need 1 cup of really hot water, as hot as you can get it from the tap. Don't worry about boiling it or anything. You just want 1 cup of really hot water. Okay, so I've got my 1 cup of really hot water and my whisk. Now, I will say that you could obviously, and it's your preference, you can mix up a bunch of this by doubling or tripling the recipe. But because it is just a spray that you spray on, it does last a long while. So I only follow the directions to mix up 1 batch at a time. And it does fill my 2 fluid ounce bottle, and it gives me a little bit of backup. So that way when I do run out, I'm not in a pinch of trying to hurry up and mix up another batch. But feel free to make as much of it as you want at one time if you have a way to store it. Obviously, you've seen that I was coming up with a lot of creative storage options, so I'm going to keep mine to 1 batch this time. Okay, so to that 1 cup of really hot water, we're going to add 8 teaspoons of Epsom salt to this. That way it can dissolve into that hot water. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to get this mixed together and dissolved. And I'm going to add in some essential oils to this too. I'm going to do 2 drops of the tea tree oil and quite a few of the orange, maybe 5. Well, I did 7. So a good thing about spraying spraying your dryer balls is obviously it helps to reduce all of the wrinkles while it is in the dryer. And you want to add the Epsom salt, especially with the essential oils, because it helps to dissolve the oil into the water a lot better. That way it doesn't just float on the top. I have seen that you can do this with witch hazel and also rubbing alcohol, but I prefer to use the Epsom salt because, like I said, it's just another way for me to get some of that Epsom salt into my laundry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill my little bottle here and then put the rest in this glass jar. I had to go hunt my funnel down. Okay. So I've got that in there, and then I'm just going to put the rest into my glass jar. Okey-doke. So there we go. We've got our mist to go on our dryer balls, and then I'm just going to get the rest into the glass jar here. Be sure, guys, to label all of this if you're unsure, or if you think you'll forget what's in each of the jars. But like I said, it makes quite a bit with just one recipe of it without doubling it. And it does last a while because it doesn't take much just to spritz the dryer ball and throw it into the dryer. So let's move on to the laundry detergent. So in my opinion, the laundry detergent is what takes the most time and is the most time consuming and has a lot of different steps and takes a bunch of water. But the first thing that I want to say is this makes a ton of laundry detergent. So you want to be prepared on how you're going to store this. Now as you've seen with my big bucket, I just took a big 5-gallon paint bucket that we had lying around the house, washed it up really, really well, and that's how I store mine. But I do think that Walmart sells a 3-gallon bucket with a lid, and this will fit inside of a 3-gallon because this doesn't completely fill up a 5-gallon. You could, like I said, double this if you want to, but like I said, this lasts for a really long time. So I think making one batch of this is perfect. You will not run out anytime soon. So one of the first things that we need to do for this is you need to purchase a Zote soap bar. You can get these in the laundry section at the store, and you only need 1/4 of the bar to do this recipe. So you take your bar and cut it down into 4ths. Like I said, you only need this much per recipe, so it lasts a really long time. When you make the initial investment of buying all of this stuff, you're set for a while, guys. So what we need to do is we need to grade this 1/4 of a bar down just with a cheese grater. And while we are grading this, we need to bring 1 cup of water to a boil on our stove. So I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of water to my little saucepan and get that boiling while I grate the soap. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this over a medium heat and add in my 1 cup of water to this and let that come to a boil. And we're going to go back over here and we're going to grate this soap. Okay, so I have my grater inside of the bowl, and I'm going to use the smaller grate size instead of the bigger side. And I'm just going to take a second and get this all grated down. Alright, so I got all the soap grated down into a really fine grate. And you can see it looks like a bag of mozzarella cheese, but keep in mind it is not. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add some water to our big bucket. Okay, so we have the soap all grated down and we're still waiting for that 1 cup of water to come to a boil on the stove. But we need to move on to the next step so that we will be ready. And that means that we need to fill up our bucket with 10 cups of hot water. Just as hot as you can get it from your sink will work fine. But like I said, 10 cups of water starting off in your big bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and get this filled up. Our water has come to a boil, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat off of this. And I'm going to start adding our soap. So I'm just going to add in some soap at a time. And just whisk this all together till it dissolves. And then keep adding in more soap until we can get this all dissolved. Okay, so I moved my soap mixture over and I just really worked it back and forth for about 5 good minutes. And I have everything completely melted down. No more large clumps or anything is what you're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dump this soap mixture into our bucket that we put our 10 cups of water in. And then I'm just going to use the whisk and kind of mix that all together and get it incorporated as best as I can. So like I said, I'm going to take this soap mixture and dump it into this 10 cups of water. And then I'm just going to take my whisk and get in here and just whisk this all together. The next thing that we need to do is we need to add some borax and some Arm & Hammer Super Washing Soda. We're going to add 1/4 of a cup of this to our 10-cup mixture that we have in our bucket. Then for our borax, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of this as well to our bucket. And then we're going to go ahead and get this all whisked together before we move on to adding more water. Okay, so for our essential oils, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do 20 drops of the tea tree oil. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the remaining bottle of this orange essential oil. So I'm going to go ahead and get those dumped into our bucket and then get those mixed up as well. The very last thing that we need to do to complete our laundry detergent is we need to add 30 cups of hot water to our bucket. Now, like I said before, just the hottest that you can get it from your sink faucet will work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get 30 cups of water added to our bucket. Okay, so when it comes to storing mine, I like to do a couple of different things. I fill up this smaller jar because it's easier for me to handle and pour. And then I keep some in this really big glass jar for refills. And then the rest I just leave inside of the bucket and refill as I need. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my little jar first. Try not to make a mess here.